Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
Ocala, baby, what makes you look so good? Ocala, baby, what makes you look so good? Why don't you love me like I know you could?
Oh, sir, it is a mystery to all of us, man. We don't know why they look so good. They just do. They just do. Just accept it. It's part of life. It's part of life.
Right.
Kelli Hart is in the studio, and you are, of course, with Ocala Magazine. You're the executive editor of Ocala Magazine. You write for the magazine, and you're very good at it, as a matter of fact. And
Thank you.
You come in here and give us some of that
I try.
talent and everything.
I try to.
How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Nice
How are
looking
you?
shirt. Look at
Hey,
that.
thanks.
Nice.
Thank you.
Do I call it a shirt or a blouse? What do you call it?
A blouse, I guess.
A blouse, yeah.
Right. Usually if it buttons, it's a blouse.
Oh, okay.
And so if not, then it's just usually a shirt. And those are just my rules. That's
your rules?
factual. So
90s this weekend, temperature-wise.
yes, that's going to be great. And speaking of weekends, I want to talk about last weekend because Symphony Under the Stars was phenomenal. Like I don't know if it could have really been any better than it was. The weather was. Were you there? Did you go?
No,
did you get a chance to go? Okay.
No, I did not.
So there were 5,000 people. So at some point, the MC announced 5,000 people.
Is that right?
Which
Wow.
likely there were more because, there are some people that, like, for example, won tickets or.
Was that a fundraiser for something?
Like that. Yeah, it's for FAFO. So it's
wow,
it's,
so they did good then.
Oh, yeah.
5,000 times whatever the ticket was.
20.
Oh, man.
25
they
maybe.
They did well.
They had, so there was chair rentals, so you could, instead of lugging your own chair, you could rent a chair, which I thought was a really great idea. That was really smart. And this year there were some food trucks, which there were not last year.
Oh,
so
okay.
there was that option as
Yeah.
well. Especially like they had the Kona Ice? Yeah, Kona Ice truck, which, as warm as it was when you first got there, that was brilliant because all the kids, of course, wanted to have one. And so that was really smart. And so, the weather was really cooperative and the music was phenomenal, of course. And they did all of these mashups of, different bands. Like the Beatles, they did a nice little mashup of several of their songs. Of course, that was my favorite, but...
That's how a good conductor makes a difference.
Right.
I think. A
was
good conductor
lovely.
knows what the audience wants to hear. And
Yes, it was. And then the fireworks, of course, were beautiful at the end, as they always have been. So it was really nice. It was really nice. I followed up with Julie Sheely after the event just to thank her again for allowing Ocala Magazine to be a part of such a phenomenal organization, and just to tell her that, from a spectator point of view, it couldn't have been more perfect. So we hope that everybody had a really great time.
That's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's good to do good things like that with your mom, with your daughter, with somebody you care about.
Yeah, it was really nice. And Chris Red was there, so he had his camera out, so he took tons and tons of pictures.
Does he ever get
people.
in the pictures?
Sometimes I will take pictures of Chris taking pictures of people because my thought is he never
gets in the pictures.
He never gets in the pictures. So
Uh-huh.
it's always nice when Chris comes to something as a guest. Like, for example, when we go to the FMA Awards every year, it's nice to see him actually in the pictures with the team, with his awards.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because he's always behind the camera, so he really never gets a chance to kind of be in front of it. So that's always nice to see him. But he did take some great pictures, which will be in our June issue. So everyone will hopefully look forward to those because they're nice. They're casual pictures and they're pictures of moms and daughters and sons
sweet
and
time.
grandchildren. So it's very, very nice. Yeah.
So what are we looking at now? Father's Day? What's next?
So I guess Father's Day is the next big thing.
Where do you have the symphony under?
I don't know. Like some kind of sports
symphony under the barbecue?
I don't know. Yeah, symphony next to the grill or something.
Barbecue under the...
I don't know.
Under the stadium?
Yeah, we could do barbecue under the stars, right?
Under the stadium,
Just have
I think.
everybody bring out their grills and just have like one huge barbecue. That'd actually be a lot of fun. So Father's Day is the next big thing coming up. So I wonder why Father's Day doesn't get as much attention as Mother's Day, because it kind of takes a father to make a mother. Right? I mean, you can't have one without the other.
Yeah, well, it's a lot more work on your end, I think.
Trust me, I know. Trust me,
yeah.
I know how much work is involved, but it just is, I mean, When we become a mother, it's because some guy became a father, right?
Yeah.
So
that makes sense. Yeah.
Right. So maybe we need to start giving them a little bit more attention.
So how about a barbecue on the boat ramp? Barbecue on the boat ramp. Hey, there's a...
Hey, that would be a lot of fun. Perfect time of year for that. Maybe somebody will be listening and then they'll think of some great, huge, big fundraiser that we can start as a Father's Day tradition. I think that'd be lovely.
That would be a cool idea.
Yeah.
Barbecue on the boat ramp.
I'm fortunate that I have both my parents here in Ocala and that I'm able to spend those days with them. But of course, in my case, I spend time with my parents all the time, all throughout the year. To see them
it's so sweet. Don't ever not do it. Don't ever not do it. It's the sweetest thing.
It is sweet. I'm very, very lucky.
Yeah.
Especially, I realize it more so around holidays like Mother's Day and Father's Day when I hear some of my friends and colleagues say things like, oh, my mom's coming into town. I'm so excited to see her. I haven't seen her in months. I'm like, I can't fathom
that's
that
sweet
idea.
Too. But have you ever had a friend, and I don't know that I've had any, but I've seen like showbiz people like Roseanne Barr, for example. Oh, I had a terrible childhood. I hated my mother. Those kind of people. It's like, holy mackerel, I must have been a lucky one. You were a lucky one.
I'm very lucky. Yeah, I have known people and still know people that their relationship with their mother is non-existent.
Wow.
That it's really sour. Yeah. And I guess I can't understand that either. I mean, trust me and my mom have been on the outs. We are very much alike, actually, which is probably a lot of the reason we butt heads so much.
That doesn't necessarily make you,
Oh my gosh, no, we'll be on the outs, but then neither one of us can stand it. I mean, literally, neither one of us can stand it. After a few days, it's like, okay, someone's got to give because we can't, we're too close to not be close.
Do you know how much your mother loves you? Just look inside. How much do you love Lily?
Right.
That's how much.
Right. You don't understand that really until you do.
You don't know it until you know it.
You have no idea what that love is like.
Yeah.
No. It really is. It really is a special thing. So it was nice to be able to share, Mother's Day with Lily, and then of course with my mom, and then with my sister because she's a mom, and so it was just very nice to have everybody there. So I hope that everyone left having had as good a time as we did because we really surely had a great time.
Were you in chairs or on the ground on a blanket?
We brought chairs, but I always end up just on the blanket. I think that's fun. Yeah. I'm in a chair all the time, so any opportunity to just sit on the grass and be on a blanket, I thought that was really nice. That's my preference anyway. So it was very nice. And in speaking of limelight and photos, something worth mentioning, and it is in the back end of the May Ocala magazine, is that we are looking for a social editor and a social photographer currently. So someone who can go out and cover these events because Chris gets really busy.
Is that one person or two people? Social editor?
It could be one person. It could be two people. So if there's a person who is a skilled photographer that is also a skilled enough writer that they could do both, I would be more than happy to speak to that person. But in most cases, we have found that someone is very skilled at one maybe and not the other, and so we're looking for someone who can do both things. So basically someone who can help Chris out a little bit and cover the social events so that he can focus more so on editorial photography and client photography because he's a busy guy.
I would imagine
we keep him very busy.
If you studied journalism, I don't know how excited you would be to work for a newspaper and then be sent to a murder or be sent to a traffic accident. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would think that the kind of journalism you would want to do would be probably political, but social has to be up there. I mean, I wouldn't even want to do political.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a lot of fun. So, for instance, our social editor, whoever ends up being selected to be our social editor, and we've had some inquiries about it, and it's a lot of fun because we send you. It's on our dime. We send you to these things like Symphony Under the Stars and like the Symphony Orchestra Gala and things at the Riley. And I mean,
Quebec?
No. If someone's going to Quebec, it's going to be me. No.
So you were the social editor at that moment.
Yeah, when it comes to trips to Quebec, I get first dibs at those. But community events, so things like Ocala's Got Talent, for example, events that are happening and going on in the community that we cover.
Will you be there?
We're going to try to be there.
Week from tomorrow?
We're going to certainly try. Yeah.
Good.
So we're looking for someone that can go to the events and can have a great time and enjoy themselves and then go home and sit down and write something up that our readers can appreciate who weren't there, to better understand why these events happen. A lot of times people think, oh, look at all these people, they're just getting dressed up and going to drink and eat dinner. But what they don't realize is there's always usually some cause, some underlying cause. And to know what that cause is and how that cause was helped is really important to us as part of that Limelight section. So
we're up to the halfway point.
Great.
So let's take a break. Sure. And the phone lines are open. Kelli is here live today. Well, that is if it's May 13th, 2016 on your calendar. Once in a while we play reruns.
That's true.
So if that's the date on your calendar, you're listening to a live show and you're invited to call in. The number is 622-9622. We'll be right back with Kelli after this.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For today, sunny to partly cloudy, a shower, thunderstorm in spots late this afternoon with a high of 87 to 92. Then tonight, partly cloudy skies, low 66 to 71. For tomorrow, sunny to partly cloudy, high 87 to 93. And for Sunday, to round out the weekend, partly sunny skies with a high of 85 to 92. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Evan Duffy.
Every day, millions of seniors struggle with cancer, arthritis, and other rare diseases. They rely on Medicare Part B for access to their doctor and life-saving medicines. Shockingly, the Obama administration has proposed a misguided experiment to Medicare, and it could be devastating. Government bureaucrats could manipulate your course of treatment. Access to new breakthrough treatments may be restricted. Local clinics could be forced to close, requiring some patients to travel significant distance and forcing others into hospitals for their care. Over 300 patient and provider groups have called on Congress to stop this experiment, and Congress needs to listen. Senator Bill Nelson has always protected Florida seniors. Call Senator Nelson at 202-224-5274 or go to stopcmscuts.com. Urge him to stand up for Florida seniors and stop the Medicare Part B experiment. Paid for by the Community Oncology Alliance.
Next time you're thinking about beating the train, think again. It takes a typical freight train traveling 50 miles an hour, 1.5 miles to stop. That's nearly 18 football fields. Don't try to beat the train. Florida's roads can be highways or dieways. The choice is yours. A message from Operation Lifesaver.
This message also brought to you by your friends here at WOCA News Talk 1370.
Hey Ocala, this is Kelli Hart, Executive Editor of Ocala Magazine. Did you know last year Ocala Magazine won more awards in excellence than any other publication in Florida? And this year, Ocala Magazine was named Best Consumer Magazine in the state. Now you can join me every Friday at 10 a.m. on Ocala Magazine Radio, where we bring the pages of Ocala Magazine to life, right here on The Source. Ocala Magazine thanks you for making us number one. And remember, there is only one Ocala Magazine.
WWWOCA,
All right, 18 minutes after 10 o'clock, Kelli Hart is in the studio, and we're talking about one of her favorite subjects, which is Ocala Magazine.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we were talking about our Limelight section and hoping that the right person will read this May issue and feel compelled to consider doing something like that.
Become part of it.
Yeah, because I mean, it's obviously it's a benefit to us to have a really great person who will write well for us, or someone who takes pictures well that can provide those pictures, because people do love to see themselves. I mean, that's really one of the most looked at favorite sections of the magazine. Or
other people they know. It's one of the first sections I turn to.
Right. In fact, a lot of people do read, and I had a number once because I looked it up from back to front, and you know, some people are the back to front readers and vice versa. So, but we do know that particular section, people do love to see themselves and other people that they know.
Right.
And it's just one of the favorite parts of the magazine. So we do take the pictures themselves and then what's written really seriously. Yes. Hello. Good morning.
Come on, you're on the air.
Hi, my name is Mike. I was listening to the show, and I heard that you were looking for event photographers, and I happen to be a photographer.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so I was curious how I could contact you to maybe get into some of this.
Great. Yes, I'll give you my email. Do you have a pen?
Okay. Give me just a second.
Okay, sure.
Ding, 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 ding. Play some
You
music.
probably didn't
right now.
expect me to
Pen-looking music.
have
yeah.
a pen. Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready when you are.
Okay, it's Kelli, Kelli, at ocalamagazine.com.
There you go.
Pretty simple.
All right, so Kelli, Kelli, at ocalamagazine.com.
That's correct. So just send me an email this morning and say I called in, and then I can send you all the information that you need.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Mike.
There you go. See that?
Great. See, that's why we mention these things. It's super important to mention because we want to find the right person. And it's also really great for the people involved because when you're out at these events, you have to understand that typically the people who are also at these events are community politicians, they're community leaders, they're
Right.
business owners,
Right.
they're movers and shakers, they're people obviously attached to really great positive organizations. So it's an opportunity to meet some really great people as well.
Would you rather be a
So-
mover or a shaker? Which would you
Oh
prefer?
gosh, a mover or a shaker? I think a mover.
You'd rather be a mover.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, shakers are kind of just standing there.
Yeah, you don't really go anywhere.
You're not sure. You know what you're not sure? You're not sure if they're shivering
Yeah.
or shaking. You're not really sure.
Right. Shakers probably get more attention, but
It
movers
depends
get
on what,
more done.
what's shaking.
Yeah. Well, either way, you're going to get some attention. It might be good or bad. but
Yeah.
I'd rather get something done, I guess. That was a good question. Might throw that out on the Facebook page today. If you'd rather be a mover or a shaker. That's a good question. But it really is a great opportunity because people love that section and we want quality photos and we want quality writing, but we also want to provide those people an opportunity to get out and meet people. I can't tell you, listen, my story is a prime example. When I was working, I was writing for Ocala Magazine as they would, kind of throw things my way. It was usually the things that the editor didn't want to write about, understandably. And I would get to go out and interview people whom I did not know and get to know them. And I was writing for quite some time and, here I am now. So you just really never know.
Let me pick your brain on that.
Okay.
Because I'm just curious.
Okay.
And now you're kind of seasoned at this point, but it still might be true. Do you ever, and I don't mean starstruck I'm going to ask you if you were ever starstruck with any of your interviews, but I want you to kind of step back from the fame, because usually fame is associated when you say starstruck, but has there ever been anybody that you were just taken with? Maybe they just impressed you so much, and maybe they weren't famous, or maybe there was a famous person or two. Have you, anybody come to mind that you were so impressed by?
Well, I guess when you're a writer and you love to learn, you're always impressed by anyone that you speak to, whether it be something they've done or just the type of person they are, whatever the case might be. I know that when I wrote the story on homelessness, that one probably made a greater impact. Now we're talking about people who have no homes, they own nothing.
I remember that, and you were clearly moved by that.
Yeah, I was really moved by that. And to have someone who has nothing, owns nothing, and for lack of better words, does nothing, probably made one of the bigger impacts on me than the wealthy people I've interviewed, the business owners, the success stories. Those are all fine and great and wonderful in their own rights, but to sit down and be really have your world opened up to a new culture and a new lifestyle. That was really.
Can I tell you something that
Sure.
I think you're going to be touched by? This was one of those. I don't want to take too much of your time, but this was one of those video things where they call it a social experiment or something. So this guy gets this little boy, maybe 10 years old, gives him sunglasses and a walking cane. He's not blind, but he's pretending he's blind.
Okay.
And he's got a $50 bill, and he's walking up to people and he says, "Can you give me change for my $5?" And the people will say either, "Oh, sure," and give him 5 ones and then take the 50, or say, "Oh my gosh, that's not a 5, that's a 50. I'll give you some change. You keep the 50 and that you don't need to give me anything." So you have two aspects. You have people who just ripped this little boy off, and you have people who were honest and in fact went above and beyond and gave him money. So one of the things they did, this guy with the social experiment, I'm rolling my eyes a little bit because it's kind of a weird thing to call it. It almost looks like a candid camera moment. But anyway, so there's a guy sleeping on a bench, a homeless guy, okay? And they leave, I think it was a $100 bill under his newspaper he was using for a pillow, okay? They have the camera on him when he wakes up. He's rubbing his face. He's looking all around. He sees the $100 bill. He goes, whoa. Like, he's looking around like, where'd this come from? He immediately gets up, goes to some store, comes back with 2 bags. Now a guy who's a planted guy, he sits in the next bench over and he's on a cell phone. He's pretending to say, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm told if she doesn't get the medicine, it's really going to get worse. I can't get any government help. I really need the money for this medicine. So the guy, the homeless guy, says to him, you need money for medicine. He goes, hold on, don't go away. The guy gets up, the homeless guy gets up. This guy has nothing. He goes back to the store, brings whatever he bought back to the store, gets his $100 back, and gives it to the man.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that sweet? And then the man says, okay, I've got to tell you, you're on camera right now. You didn't know this, but why did you do that? He goes, well, you need it more than I do. And he says, well, what was in the bags? He says, a sleeping bag and a pillow. Isn't that something?
That is.
So the one thing that could have made his life more comfortable,
right,
he gave up so that this fictional little girl,
right,
could have some medicine.
That's a great story.
I think sometimes the people with the least are the ones most likely going to heaven. You're a Bible girl, right? Don't they say the meek will inherit the earth?
Yeah. In fact, last Sunday I had written something down that was in Matthew that was along those lines. It was very touching, and they were telling the story about the person that has the least. The lady at the well, she had very little, but she gave it all, and because. If you have a lot of money and you cut a nice big check, it's great. Listen, no one's turning away money, especially when it's going to help someone else or an organization. But when you have very little and you give, that really is a true testimony of who you are. And even if you're not a believer, if you're the type of person that just gives with very little to give, that to me says more about you than the person who's able to give. So
I know we went on a tangent there, but I think that story touched you because you have that integrity within you. So.
Right. And just to sit and listen to, people that, what I was anticipating during that story was just hear a bunch of complaints and a bunch of gripes and a bunch of blaming. It's their fault that I'm homeless and it's this person's fault. And listen, we got some of that, trust me. But there were people that were so positive and so helpful and just really, they were just happy, positive people, but yet they were sitting out on a bench, had no place to go in the heat, dirty, feet hurt, hair had not been washed, and just were still they found things to be happy about. And I walked away there thinking, gosh, some of the stuff that I complain about and that I hear people complain about, it's nothing in comparison. Shame on me, basically, for complaining about, oh man, my car is dirty. Well, my nice car that runs and gets me places is dirty. Okay, there could be worse things. Yeah. So it really puts it into perspective, and I like to do stories like that every so often, not only for our readers, but because it kind of brings me back to basics, to better understand what's really, really important. So it is very, very nice to be able to have those types of opportunities, and I think everybody at the magazine gets to experience that. Even the salespeople that go out and they work with a new business that's just getting started, and it's a small business, and they have very little to no budget, and the salesperson gets to help them and work with them to come up with a plan to help their business grow. And so when we see small businesses start out and then grow, and we know we had a hand in that, it's kind of the same thing on the sales side.
And I think that spirit finds its way into your writing too. You can see from your writing that you're not starstruck necessarily because somebody's famous or because somebody's wealthy. We all get a little bit of that giddy, but I think you're more impressed by people who are just simply real giving people.
Yeah.
I think that's more impressive.
Right. Well, it is impressive, and it's nice to know they're right here in our community. So sometimes when we read the paper and we hear about the very bad things that are happening, or another person's car's been robbed, or their home, or even worse crimes, it's nice to remind ourselves that there's still a lot of good happening and a lot of really good people. Sadly, we don't hear about those as much, which that's why Ocala Magazine has that platform where we don't really report news. We don't want to report the negative things happening. We want to be a resource that's able to report.
And if I could say this, I know we've got half a minute, but if you're visiting Ocala and you're in a hotel and you're not planning on seeing anything in Ocala, and the only thing you pick up is Ocala Magazine, you're going to get a little bit of a taste of what we're about.
We would love to think that people can take that magazine back and say, this is where I was, and what a nice community, and what a nice town. And, and then hopefully, because we are online, ocalamagazine.com, you don't have to be in Ocala to keep up with us. So make sure that you go to ocalamagazine.com every month and read about what's going on, because we might be a tiny little town, but we have big things happening around here.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thanks, Larry.
We'll be right back.
Thanks.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. Subaru telling some Legacy and Outback owners not to drive them because the steering can fail. Recalling about 52,000 of the cars and SUVs from the 2016-2017 model years. The company says in government documents